Greetings, and welcome back to my channel. This is Sorcerer Tal again. Today we are going to be continuing on with the Becoming Wyrd and giving a bit of a progress report about my journey into the Wyrd. Okay, so the first time where I talked about this being a full paradigm shift was in the video Why I'm Leaving Chaos Magic. And we talked a bit about the difference between chaos and Wyrd, but that's a big part of this journey for me, is leaving one and going to the other. Now, my first video on the Wyrd was a little over 2 years ago at this point, and that's more where the paradigm shift began, but even a bit before that, I knew that there was something coming, that my paradigm was moving and shifting. And what's interesting about that is a lot of the key landmarks of my reality tunnel are still there, but with a slightly different perspective. Now, when I was a child, this was what I originally started with, was Wyrd and being a weirdo. And like I said in the last video, I'm a weirdo now, rather than a coyote. I don't know if I'm merely either one of those things, but they're the label. It's a changing of labels. Now, the difference here that I feel is, like I said, there's a difference in perspective. And I've talked before about the difference between coincidence and coincidence. And before, it was almost a coincidence that I practiced all these different types of magic. Like they had just chaotically sprung up here and there, spontaneously popped out as ideas. But now that I'm returning to the Wyrd and journeying back into that idea, these coincidences begin to coincide and correlate or even cooperate with each other. Some of the best examples of this is, I've talked about these, about Ufa and Wanga, and I've talked a bit about that correlates to the sorcery self-defense, but that is becoming more visible in my mind, and I'm understanding how the energy, the impulsive, quick burst energy of Wanga is connected to this concept, and how the Ufu is connected to the muscle memory that is attached to that. And so we're going to be delving farther into that, but it's time to start tying all these threads together. All these different playlists that I have brought out are footnotes, foundations. I believe the word I just used was landmarks. So let's stick with that instead of giving them a bunch of different words. Let's be consistent rather than chaotically naming them a bunch of different things. We will call them the landmarks of the reality tunnel. Okay, so these different lists are all landmarks that actually combine together to make a full journey and get me along the path of entering the Wyrd. When I went into chaos magic, I began to see more randomness in it, and almost kind of interjected that into my magic, in that one of my early altars, when I first started chaos magic, I treated as a living organism, like I do my altar servitor, but it was much more organic. I would just throw whatever I felt like on my altar, and I would have Armageddons. And this first took the aspect of me just throwing stuff at my altar, and whatever didn't get knocked down was allowed to continue and grow and evolve into new versions of the servitor and new aspects of how the altar was forming. But then it started being little fires, because it was a metal altar, and I could get away with lighting the top of it on fire some, but I always had candles going, and this culminated in me lighting some candles on there, and it had the fire going, and I had a few things lit, and then apparently there'd been a layer of wax that had lit over the entire top of this big metal desk. and I'm burning everything, saying some stuff about the Armageddon coming onto it, and it's the breaking, and then all that wax lit on fire all at once. And I guess, fortunately, I had a big bucket of water there for the element of water, and being the genius that I am, I'm like, oh, I'm going to throw this water onto this wax fire. So I do this, and I splash it on there, and all that wax went up and whoop, looked like a big mushroom cloud, and singed the ceiling directly above where that altar was. In fact, in my parents' room in that old house, there's still a bit of a singe mark. I was never able to completely paint it away. And that is one of the, like part of the actually birth process of my altar servitor, I suppose. But it is very chaotic. And now I am trying to remove that randomness but still allow for the organic flow and creation without getting in my own way, lighting my stuff on fire and throwing rocks at it. There is instead an allowing to form and just moving within it rather than purposely bucking all the trends and actually in ways fighting against my own fate simply to cause random reactions.